All right, welcome back to the show. Another episode of the Full Subjects podcast and our second episode of our Agent Expert series. And when we were making a list and checking it twice of people that we wanted to have back on for this, we couldn't think of a better name than having Jeremy Kalenuik back on. So Jeremy, thank you for joining us again. How are you?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Sweet. Tell us, for those of you that didn't catch the episode where you were on the first time, first off, how dare you? But second, tell us a little bit about yourself, the things you're involved in, and why, maybe give people a couple reasons why we might have had you on for our Agent Expert series. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I have no idea.
He's so modest. That was the first reason.
So, I've been doing this for 12 years, 13 years into the business. Own the Angle and Volker's office in Ocean Park. I run the Whitestone team in South Surrey here. We're typically kind of top 2 or 3 teams in the area, number one and number 3, depending on the year. Yeah, I've got lots of experience across the board, whether it be land assemblies or resale. And, I'm a dad of 3. So I figure out a way to sell real estate in the midst of driving kids around all their activities.
The Kalenuik taxi service. That's amazing.
Kalenuik Uber.
Kalenuik Uber. Okay, that's gonna stick.
That's a good one.
Sweet. So we wanted to take this next month here. Obviously, we're in a bit of a challenging market. We wanted to kind of shift our target audience, let's say, to maybe agents that are in the business. Maybe they've been doing this for a while. Maybe they just got licensed and they're like, okay, now that I can sell real estate, how exactly do I do that? Talk to us a little bit about your experience getting into the business, and maybe if you were to start day one, what are the types of things that you would be doing to start getting the ball rolling in the right direction?
Yeah, so it is a challenging market for sure. No doubt about that for all of us. We're all feeling kind of the pinch right now. So I think the biggest thing is, like, if I was to start day one, the same thing I sort of tell everybody when they start is to build a business plan. The amount of new agents, and actually honestly experienced agents, that come to me and are like, hey, you guys did 100 deals last year. Like, how? And I'm like, well, we build a business. Like, when I started in this business, I built a business plan for 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. And like, my goal was to figure out exactly what my business was going to look like from year 1 to year 3 to year 5. And I had some, high aspirations on what place we wanted to become year 5. We were able to do it in about 3 years, which was phenomenal. But I think that's the biggest thing. And what I mean by when I say business plan, it usually makes people look at me sideways and kind of crank their neck and go, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't have to be, like, mine is very comprehensive for our team. It can be as simple as, how many deals do you want to do? What mix of product will it be? What activities do you need to do consistently to create those results? It's like, if you want to, sign up if you want to be more fit, well, if you just go to the gym and do the same thing every day, not really a great plan. But if you build some sort of a system and plan in place to say, okay, on Monday, I'm going to do these exercises. On Tuesday, this is my plan. You're going to lay out a framework of what it needs to look like to get to that end goal. So that'd probably be the number one thing I would say, is to build a business plan and take it to somebody who has been in the business longer than you and that you would aspire to be like, and get them to look at it. Because most agents, like, I've looked at lots of business plans, and I had a guy just send me one last week, and I emailed him back and said, this isn't a business plan. Like, these are just hopes. I provided them much more context than that, but I was like,
Right.
This is like, you're hoping this is going to happen. These are not actions that you can do consistently to be successful. You're just like, oh, I hope this works.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I think my piggyback question from that is, okay, so what you built, your 1 year, your 3 year, your 5 year plan at that time. Can you share with us what that looked like for you, and how deep? Like, you don't need to go line by line, but just some of the details of it, so that people can understand the difference between hopes and dreams, and, hey, these are actionable steps that's going to get me from point A to point B.
Right. So 1 year plan would be like, number of units. And then from there, figure out kind of what my mix is going to be. From that, I can determine an average GCI, gross commission index per unit. and then how many units I need to get to get to that number. Sort of all those things kind of go back and forth. You've got to massage it a bit. Okay, so if my mix is 75% houses, what's my price point? Who is the consumer base that I'm going to talk to? Who are my clients I'm going to connect with in that segment? What do I need to do on a regular basis from an activity perspective to connect with those people? Is it open houses? Is it client events? Is it whatever? And so I sort of broke it down that way and said, okay, here's who my clients are. My clients, now that I'm the old guy, as I'm getting older, they're becoming more affluent because their businesses are getting more established. And honestly, a lot of my clients in sphere of influence are self-employed people. Well, figuring out how to have a cadence with them to be able to connect regularly. So that's kind of how I would build it out. Okay, am I doing a client event? What are we doing for, say, birthdays, anniversaries? How am I having those monthly touch points? What's my plan to stay in contact with those people regularly enough that I'm going to be top of mind, so that when they're talking about real estate, obviously I want them to think about Whitestone and myself and then the guys and Laura. The 3 year is a little bit more aspirational. Like, okay, so what did the team mix look like for me? When I started, it was just me. How am I going to grow from 30 deals a year to 60 deals a year? Do I need a buyer's agent? Did I need an assistant? At what point in time did I need an assistant? That's kind of how I looked at that 3 year plan. And then the 5 year was more of like, okay, if we are doing this business now, I think we can get to this level by year 3. By year 5, what does the team look like? What does my day-to-day look like? And it was kind of more like a top line kind of goal setting of like, okay, I want to be number 1 in the peninsula. Well, we were able to do that. We hit number 1 in the peninsula. This is what my team will look like. And I didn't have people specifically in there, but it looked like what the mix was. I'll have a full-time assistant. We'll have a buyer's agent or I'll partner with somebody to sort of build the business out. So that's kind of what it looked like. And I also built out a bit of a framework in terms of like, what does my life look like? Is it 7 days a week, 365 real estate, or am I, 1 day off a week? How many holidays do I want to take every year? And it was kind of like more of an overarching life goal, but with a lot of business layered on top.
Yeah,
That's very
I think
interesting. Sorry,
yeah,
Austin, if you don't mind me asking really quickly, did you incorporate your wife into your business planning when you were doing that initially? Maybe you weren't married at that time, but is that something that you incorporated, or do you guys have separate ways that you kind of plan out your life outside of maybe this business?
So originally, yes, we did have sort of a sit down, and I said, okay, here's what my business plan looks like. What do you think? And we kind of worked through it together. Now with 3 kids, for us to sit down and have that kind of conversation is like, it's almost impossible. We do sit down, like her and I usually sauna together every night. We have a sauna in our backyard, so we usually sauna every night and kind of go through things of like, okay, here's what's coming up, here's what we want to do. We bought a place in Sun Peaks about 4 years ago, and we sat down and said, okay, we have some, capital available to us that we've saved. I want to do something with it. What do you think? And so we kind of batted some ideas back and forth. We were looking at buying an investment property. And then she came down and put the kids to bed and said, I have a great idea. We have a place at the lake. I think we need the place for the winter that, potentially can make some money for us. And then from there, I went and did the research on all the properties, different mountains and whatnot from a geographical perspective. And then I went and ran the numbers and said, okay, here's what I've landed on. What do you think? And so that's kind of how we work. That's more of our business planning now. We sit in the sauna and figure out what the next steps are in the future.
Yeah, we'll see you in the meeting room, the sauna.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
yeah, that's where the next
meeting.
Yeah, that's where the next podcast is being recorded from. One of the things that comes to mind when you're talking about that and you're talking about planning is just like what your calendar looks like. So what does your in order for you to be so you're laughing because I know I semi know the answer.
My calendar's a gong show.
Yeah. But I guess from there, like, how do you plan your day in order to be successful?
Yeah. So I try to have some consistent behavior. So for me, I haven't, like, when I originally started, I would sort of really plunk things into the calendar to make sure I didn't miss those opportunities of like prospecting, reconnecting with people. Now that I've been doing it for so long, it's almost like second nature. Like I come in, there's just specific things I do. I check on the staff in the office and, you know, make sure she's fine, check in with all the agents in the office, see if they need anything. And then I kind of get down to following up with clients, servicing all of our listings first, kind of checking in with everybody on every couple of days, whether it be a bomb email or a phone call to them, and then sort of work through my prospecting plan as the day unfolds. And I kind of have an unwritten goal in my mind of how many people I'm going to connect with on the phone in any given day. So, and then from there, I'm, you know, I have to kind of figure out what my day looks like a week out sort of, because everything gets kind of layered in, right? Like Matt will put stuff in my calendar, Laura puts stuff in my calendar, and then, you know, you guys put stuff in my calendar. So I've got to just make sure that I have everything. I've got to cross-reference it just to make sure that I'm not overlapping some stuff.
Yeah. So just for the record, we didn't ask him yesterday to jump on. We did give him a little bit of notice.
Sorry for throwing off your week and having to spend an hour with us. Jeez Louise.
No, listen, my calendar was open. I told you what times worked, and we worked out perfectly. I don't work Fridays, and here we go. It's Friday.
That's perfect. I want to build on what you just said. Can you speak to some daily habits that you do, maybe outside of work, that help you remain consistent with work?
Yeah, so I'm a big like mindset person. I think we talked about that last time a little bit.
We did.
It's probably like my number one driver every time Angle and Volkers or anybody asks me to speak, and you know, even in this market, I think it's even more important. So for me, my daily routine is I'm up early. I go to the gym 5 or 6 days a week, depending on how the week goes. Every morning, it's very rare for me to miss a gym workout. And then from there, it's usually cold plunge in the morning. Straight afterwards, get the kids off to school and then straight into the office. Those are kind of my two, like, I've got to get my day set. And that for me, like, and everyone's like, you're nuts, you cold plunge. And I'm like, hey man, it's the hardest thing I'm going to do today. It's 3 degrees and my cold plunge is cold compared to most people's. It's 3 degrees. You go and spend 3 minutes in there. Like that's literally in January when it's minus whatever outside is the hardest thing you're going to do for the day. The rest of the day, it makes it pretty easy. So those are some of my habits that I always do. And then every night, I would say, except for Thursday nights, and I have been consistent over the last year since we put the sauna in. Like if we're in town, it's a sauna every night at about 9:30, 9:45 for about 15 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah. So obviously habits are huge. Fitness is huge. Health is huge. And how do you feel that stuff translates? And I think you've touched on it, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more. How does that translate to business for you?
I mean, in this business and lots of businesses, but in self-employed business where the market's tough, like you need to have that mental fortitude to sort of, you know, there's a thing on the internet that Tom Hanks says on Instagram. I've seen a couple of times where he says, this too shall pass. All the good times that are happening right now, the plush market where you can make money, no problem, that this too shall pass. And when it's really dark and horrible and terrible, like this too shall pass. You have to be in a space in your mind to be able to forge forward and press on, where it's like, you know, you could get kicked in the teeth 10 times in a week and you just got to get up and do it over again. And I think having those goals where, you know, you're going to the gym or whatever it is for you, Pilates, yoga, whatever it is. I'm not saying the gym has to be it. I just find the gym for me is like, gives me that mental balance of like, I've you know, got that stress for my body in there and my mind is set right. And then I go in cold plunge and it's kind of like, now I'm like really ready to take on my day. I think all of those things, whenever you're not, you know, our society become very easy. And when you suffer a little bit, and that's what my wife would say, she says, you're nuts. I said, I just love the suffering in the cold plunge because it sucks. Everyone's like, you love the cold plunge. No, the cold plunge sucks.
It does.
There's never a morning where I'm like, this is going to be so amazing and comfortable. Every morning I go, this is going to suck. And I hope it sucks a lot. Because then my day is easy from there. And I think all that stuff sort of translates over in terms of like mental toughness, setting the right mindset, all those things.
Yeah, very well put. I think it's pretty, I would say, common knowledge, and this is something that we'll be chatting with everybody about, that, you know, obviously this is a fairly tough industry crack and get into, but also to stay in. And we do see some agent turnover. It is challenging. Why do you think that this industry is so challenging and with the turnover? But and what advice would you give to those people that are kind of struggling right now?
Oh, it's a good question. What advice would I give to those people? It is a challenging industry, and I think a lot of people come in with the wrong perception of what they think it's going to be. They think you just buy a Mercedes and a BMW and you put a suit on and you drive around, and they're not prepared to slog out the hard times, and they're not prepared to execute a plan. I always say to new people when they start, I'm like, you need to become an expert, because until you're an expert and you know what the hell you're talking about, you're actually the most dangerous person in this room, because you're taking someone's largest financial asset and you don't have a clue what you're doing. No offense. Like, you got license the same as I did. I was that person at one point in time. And I think that people need to understand, like, you need to be prepared for it to be really challenging. And you have to put in the time, and you need to grind it out, and you need to become an expert. Become the expert on whatever you want to focus on. Don't become the master of everything. Like, that's my favorite thing was like, where do you service? I service Whistler to Chilliwack. And I'm like, what? What the hell do you know about Chilliwack? I don't know. I live in West Van. I'm like, why are you servicing the entire market? Like, when they started specializing in something, which is like South Shore White Rock, essentially, like 90% of our business went from there. Our business went up by 30%. Because there literally is not too many things that happen in the peninsula that I don't pay attention to or am aware of. The amount of people that have called me and said, oh, hey, this house over here on 127A just sold. I said, yeah, I know the owners, framer. He did all the work himself, blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, these two on 20th haven't sold. And I said, well, I know the people that own the one of the second group, they actually did all the work without permits. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, that's my job to know that.
You just touched on something interesting there. When you specialized, your business went up 30%. And what you're hinting at there is obviously branding and marketing. Talk to us a little bit about your belief in branding and marketing.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I don't think it was only the branding and marketing that helped our business grow. What helped our business grow, in my opinion, was the difference of, say you parachute me into Chilliwack to do an open house. Beyond the listing, I don't have a clue what the hell I would even tell you about Chilliwack. They grow corn, and
what school catchment?
Like, right? Yeah, no idea. Zero. No, I can't even pretend to know. But if you come into South Story White Rock, and I always say to people, talk to me about where you're from. Well, I'm from here. Okay, great. Do you know anything about the area? We know very little. What would you like to know? Tell me what's important to you. Do you want to know about recreation? Do you want to know about amenities? Do you have young kids? All of a sudden, I have a very different dialogue with somebody versus, I'm in Chilliwack. This place is 2,000 square feet. It was built in 1984. I don't know what school catchment is. And I think when you have that different dialogue and you get in those interactions that are so much more fruitful and meaningful to someone, that is what I think helped grow our business significantly. And now it's like, honestly, I get phone calls from all kinds of people, and they're like, oh, well, we're interested in the house. And I'm like, well, tell me who the listing agent is. Tell me the listing agent. 9 times out of 10, I know the listing. I maybe have been in the house. I've seen it. I've previewed it. I knew about it before it came on the market. Like, it could be a variety.
I think
that answer your question?
Absolutely.
You said branding and marketing, and I didn't go that direction. Like, I think branding and marketing is important. It needs to be memorable. That's why when we created Whitestone, we built it off of White Rock. It was kind of like sort of a localized play on words, sort of, that made it memorable to people. And then just becoming an expert in our field is really what helped our business grow.
Well, and I think with that too, if you think about it just generally, right? Like, let's say you're carrying 10 or 15 listings. I'm sure you guys are probably carrying 25 to 30 at a time, give or take.
Yeah, and busy times, our top end will be 30, 35. And normally we're kind of like 15-ish.
Good guess. Go me. But if you think about that, like practically, right? If you have 15 or to 30 signs placed all over the Lower Mainland, versus 15 to 30 signs that are placed in one niche area. There's going to be, there's another one. Like if you think of marketing and branding as repetition of seeing that, that's just going to be reinforced more. You're going to be driving around South Story, White Rock, and I think it's fair to say a lot of people really like that niche area. That just gets reinforced more because they're seeing you at every, third or fourth street corner or street, as opposed to, I was driving from Langley to Surrey today, and I saw one sign. It doesn't stick out as much. So that way, if you get the notepad, you get the pumpkin, all the other stuff that you do, and we'll talk about that next. Again, it's just staying top of mind. These guys are everywhere because they are everywhere in your niche area. Go ahead. Yeah.
We had 3 people this week already say, man, you guys have a lot of listings in the area, because we have like 4 within about 4 blocks of each other. And so like my wife was like, that's the 3rd person this week that's come up to me and been like, wow, you guys have a lot of listings in the area.
And you're like, thanks, please buy one.
I'm like, yeah, feel free to come take a look.
Yeah. So I think with where you are, you and your team are at, you're in a different stage of your business as opposed to maybe the person that's in the 1, 2, 3, 5 years range. Talk about the types of things that you are doing now as a team that's different than maybe your first, second, third year. And I've kind of touched on like client events, pumpkins that you guys do. So just talk about some of those things.
Yeah, so we typically have done a couple client events a year, whether it be like a beer tasting. We used to do a pedicure party, which I think we talked about last time. If you're a single male agent out there, or you have a partner, it's a great. Honestly, it's like it was the best one because it's just so outside the box, right? Like it's just like a bunch of dudes putting on a pedicure party. Like this is bizarre, but it was awesome. You invite 30 of your own clients, and tell them to bring a friend, and all of a sudden you have 60 ladies in there, and you'll get a bunch of angry phone calls from the guys being like, what the heck, what about us? And my funny thing to say to them is like, if I wanted the decision makers there, I wasn't inviting you. Pedicure parties we have done. Matt and I started doing pumpkins a couple of years ago, and it turned into this like, it's so much bigger than it has ever. Like we started with 150 pumpkins, then it went to 400, and then last year it was 1,000, and we hand delivered all of them. I think I had my watch on. We were running about 20K a day. So we would pick them up in the truck with a trailer, and we would do them around Ocean Park. The one lady called me and said, like the tag on this is soaking wet. And I'm like, I don't have a dry spot on my entire body. I have been running for the last 4 hours delivering pumpkins. I'm really sorry the tag got wet for you. So we would do them in the area, and we were running about 20K a day. So this year we're doing it differently. I'm actually not even going to be in town, unfortunately.
You're giving it to Matt. Love it.
So he's not delivering this year. So this year we have changed it up because our office is central in Ocean Park. We're doing pumpkins by donation. So we try and support the food bank. We did photos with Santa with the food bank last year for our clients. So they got to come down and get their photo with Santa. It was all by donation. There was no minimum or maximum amount. And they come down and we print them off their photo with Santa, so they actually don't have to go to the ball. They can come here and do it. So this year it's going to be, we're doing 600 pumpkins approximately. Getting picked up, they'll be in the parking lot here, and it's going to be pick up your pumpkins by donation. We'll have some Halloween candy for the kids and some coffee for the parents. So we do things like that. And because our office, now that I've opened the office in Ocean Park, we're really trying to do some more stuff within the community to sort of support the community. And obviously our clients, we usually invite for the early session. Obviously come anytime during the day, but here's the window for you guys for, photos of Santa, for example, is 10 to 12 for the Whitestone team. And then anybody else in the community come after that. So yeah.
Like that. Let's take this a little bit of a different direction now. What's one big mistake that you see business owners make? It doesn't have to be just real estate, but like what's something that you often see and you go,
honestly, there's 2 things I think I see with business owners very regularly is one, they don't have a plan. I know I keep harping back on it, but it's honestly like they think if I make it pretty and I do these things, this is just going to happen. And it's really not. Like, maybe, but you're really not building on something that you know you can build consistent success with if you just like open the doors and pray that people show up. So they don't have a plan. And then the second piece is just putting in the work, right? Like I think that there's a lot of like you can spend a lot of money on advertising, but I'm a firm believer like we don't have the most bus backlets. We don't send out the most flyers. We don't do the most advertising on social media. We actually don't do that much at all. Our business has grown from repeat and referral. Like we're 90 to 95% repeat and referral. And that's because when we get you as a customer or a client, you know, I see them, they don't treat them the way they should be treated. Like that person, once you have them, build them to be your supporters, right? You want them out there helping you grow your business.
Mm-hmm.
How can I help you help me grow my business? What are the things I need to do to make sure that you're, you know, out there and I've satisfied all your needs and I've done a good job for you so that you want to help me succeed. So I see business owners, they don't, you know, they don't have a plan and they think it's just going to happen. And then I find them, they don't really treat their customers the way they should be.
Mm. Okay. I like that. Awesome.
Can I ask you something? Because you've obviously talked about flyers and different like gross marketing techniques, if I can call it that, of like volume.
Yeah.
Do you find the events and all of the stuff that you're doing instead, do you just not find it a lot more fun to do what you're doing? Does that make sense?
No, 100%. Like, I mean, photos with Santa, like it was a ton of work. It was a super fun day. You get to see all these little kids come in. They lose their marbles because Santa's in, like, you should have heard my three kids. Santa's in your office, Dad. How did you get Santa in your office? And I'm like, well, I had to connect with one of his helpers to come in and help us. And like, like honestly, like you get to have way more fun. You get to see these little kids' faces. And honestly, we've been trying to link a lot of them to like a charity. We've done the food bank a couple times, and so Matt and I went up and delivered the check. We raised about $2,500 in that one day, and about 750 pounds of food. So Matt and I loaded all the food in my truck and we drove up to the food bank. And you know, it was one of those moments in time where we kind of finished, and Matt and I both sat there in the truck after we had delivered the check and did the photo and the whole 9 yards. And I said to Matt, I go, you know what? My bucket's pretty full right now. And he said, yeah, me too. It kind of was one of those like made your heart feel good. Because when we pulled up there, the lineup for the food bank was bananas. And it was like a mom with two kids and a suitcase going to pick up food to eat. And I was just like, how fortunate are we that we can, you know, have an event for our clients. It's really fun and support this really great cause. And they were so appreciative, right? Like they were, it was bananas how appreciative they were. Like I haven't experienced something quite to that effect with the food bank. And it was a really good one. So yeah, like we're trying to center it around events. Like my kids are young. Like we did a big kids mental health party at the office here in June last year with the Kelty Foundation. We already booked it for next year, and we had like a couple 200 plus people out front of the office. So if I can make the event fun for us, rather than you know going to hand deliver flyers or some version of that,
Cold call. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done those things. I used to cold call 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And like if there's anybody who can cold call, if you give me a phone and a bunch of phone numbers, I guarantee I'll get a couple appointments. I know how to do it. It's just not not a fun way to do things. So I think the big thing I was saying to somebody the other day is if you can pick things that are authentically you, like don't snow it, right? Like don't make it up. If you're not going to be authentic, it actually means something to you. Like if I didn't actually care about the food bank, then I shouldn't do it. If I didn't actually think the kids' mental health thing was a valuable thing to do, I shouldn't. Like people they'll smell it on me, right? They'll know that I'm just doing it for business. So you got to kind of really do things that resonate with who you are and what your values align to. And I think if you can do that and layer it into some of those fun client things, it's honestly, it's not a ton of work. Like the Kelty Foundation one that we did was a ton of work. My wife did a ton of work on it. It was actually super fun. We had a big DJ dance party out front of the office. My kids thought it was the greatest thing ever. All these kids from the community that are like my clients' kids and my kids' friends and stuff were out here dancing around with the DJ. That was the best.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's ask you another one here. Do you have a favorite book or podcast? or maybe an author if it's not a book.
So many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just listened to Ninja Selling last summer for like real estate specific. Ninja Selling, I would certainly recommend listening to it. I listen to it, and man, like I'm usually pretty high energy. I listen to it, and people are like, "Who is this guy?" Like I was like, "Let's go!" Like I was like ready to like run through a wall. And then an interesting one, James Doty, I think is the guy's name. It's called Into the Magic Shop.
Okay.
It's an interesting one. I thought I'd throw you guys a curveball for once. I did know this question ahead of time. It is about kind of manifesting what you want. He was on Mel Robbins' podcast. He actually just passed away last summer. But he's got a pretty interesting story. Raised, was a multi-millionaire, lost it all, got it all back. It's about kind of manifesting what you want to, which I thought has been a pretty interesting one as well. But I mean, I've got so many that I listen to. I listen to Diary of a CEO quite often. That podcast, he's got quite a few good guests and stuff on there
He's
that
great.
I find interesting.
Yeah. Stephen Bartlett. Yeah.
So, yeah, that helped. Those are two good ones.
Yeah, those are great.
Yeah,
Both different.
Those are some great ones. Yeah, I definitely listen to his Diary of a CEO quite a bit too.
Yeah, he's good.
What about like a quote that has changed your perspective on business? Do you have one that sticks out?
Man, you didn't give me a heads up on that one. I would have written one down. I not necessarily a quote, but something that kind of gets reinforced over and over with a lot of things I listen to, and a lot of like podcasts and stuff is don't be afraid to fail. Right? Like there's no successful person that never got it wrong. They only got there by getting it wrong so many times and having the guts to get back up and do it again, and probably fail 100 more times. So just don't be afraid to fail in whatever you do, right? Like you have to have big goals, in my opinion. As you know, Austin, you talk to me fairly often, and Cole, we don't talk as often, but Austin chat quite often.
Yeah.
Have goals that are preposterous.
Think
because
bigger.
At the end of the day, yeah, if you only hit part of them, you still won.
That's true. Absolutely.
What is advice that you would give to 18-year-old Jeremy or 20-year-old Jeremy, or even younger than that?
Find something that you're really passionate about and follow it relentlessly, and take all the risks you can when you're young. Not when you're 46 and have 3 kids. Take them all when you're 20, 21 years old. Because honestly, if you throw it all down the tubes, who cares, right? Like you can build it all back up again. So yeah, follow your passion and follow it relentlessly, and be prepared to fail.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of an Alex Hormozy quote, basically, where it's like, if you think, who's one of my favorite podcasters and business people, but a lot of people think that, I have nothing going for me is a bad thing, but it really means you have nothing to lose. So like, why not go for it? You know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
100%.
yeah, think bigger at that time. Cause like worst case, if it doesn't work out, you're still in the same position as you were when you started.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You got a few more minutes here, Jeremy? I just want to make sure we don't take up too much.
We got about
here.
10 more. Yeah.
Okay.
10 more. I'm going to plug my computer in.
Okay. Let's do this one. This is kind of a fun one. So you're actually our second interview. So we've interviewed somebody else. And what we're doing is we ask them to leave us a question that we're going to ask you. And then in return, we're going to get you to leave a question for the next person that we interview. So Austin, I'll give him the question. So the last interviewer, I won't tell you who it was, or the last person we interviewed, I won't tell you who it was, but what they asked is they said, tell me what makes you passionate about what you do. And it doesn't have to be real estate. And in this case, you are in real estate, but tell us what makes you passionate about being in this industry.
I get to deal with all kinds of people, and I deal with all kinds of circumstances, whether it be the bad ones, which is divorce, the fun ones, which is upsizing. I get to connect people to sometimes what their dreams are, and sometimes I get to help them get out of the biggest messes they're in their lives. I love doing that. I'm a problem solver by nature. And I just love how, I've got a friend of mine who wasn't thinking about moving. He said to me, if you find me a house that has X, Y, Z, ABC, we'll think about it. And I said, okay. I found this house. I walked into this house with another set of clients. After I confirmed they were not interested in this house, I phoned him and I said, what are you doing tomorrow? He's like, I don't know. I said, we're going to an open house. Get your wife on the phone. I want to talk to her. He's like, okay. I convinced him to come to this open house. And he still phoned me a year later and was like, I can't believe you did it for me. This is the best thing that could have happened. So it's moments like that that I really get to, think outside the box and do things a little bit differently. So that's what really makes me passionate is having those phone calls from people that are like, man, this is the best. Or when they're in their worst possible moment, being that person that can really help alleviate the stress and kind of move them in the direction they're trying to get to. That's what I really enjoy.
That's awesome.
Great.
So it's really the human side of it that you truly connect with and what drives you to continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great answer.
So we gotta ask. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what question are you leaving to the next person? And we might make you answer it yourself as well.
What question would I leave for the next person? That's a good one.
It's funny that you actually said that Diary of a CEO is one of your favorite podcasts, because I know he does this too.
Yes, I know he does.
Used to. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say what is the biggest mistake they've made in their career? What did they learn from it? And if they could go back, would they do anything differently?
Do you care to answer that question yourself before we go?
Yeah.
The biggest mistake I made in this career was I actually exited this business once and came back. So I had no plan. I just worked. I'm a workhorse. I just worked relentlessly and burned myself out, left the business, and then came back about 10 years later. So, I've already lived it. I already screwed it up once and came back a second time. And now this time it's been successful.
Awesome. I love that. I remember that story because you shared that with us the first time we talked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's incredible. Okay, awesome. We got to make sure we remember that for the next guest here.
I have made notes, so
Perfect.
We're perfect. Do you have any questions for us about anything, Jeremy? Anything you want to grill us on?
No, I appreciate you guys' time. It's always nice to chat with you. I appreciate that you guys do this. This is awesome. I think we've chatted, like a podcast is in my future at some point. Nothing to do with real estate, though. I think there's a big opportunity for men, and moving forward, my generation was a different generation. You don't talk about how you feel or what's important to you. You just sort of bottle it up and fight that fight alone, which I don't think is a good thing to do. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing this. Our industry needs people like you to sort of be the trendsetters and the leaders to move things forward. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, we'll see you guys next week for another great interview. Stay tuned for that. And again, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you